Felix was a calf, a dairy calf, and there was nothing just about him. I met my boy on a cold Tasmanian night in 2023. A tiny, vulnerable, defenseless, newborn baby. He was only 7 days old. He was born so that his mother's milk supply would continue, but not for him. No, he was the waste product, an inconvenient means to an end. And he would be starved because feeding him didn't make sense to an industry that only cares about profit. And so he quickly became skin and bones, covered in his own feces and spray painted like an object, to an industry that could not care less about him. That is why he was born, but that is not who he was. Felix was someone, not something. When I met Felix, he was laying on the feces-covered grates of a holding pen inside the slaughterhouse. He was not alone. Everywhere you looked was a tiny newborn calf just like him, crammed into spaces beyond the capacity. Hundreds and hundreds of newborn dairy calves. Their united cries for their mothers echoed into the night. Have you heard the cry of a newborn baby when they're crying for their mother? Now picture that amplified by 500. I climbed into the pen and sat with them, the ground damp. His tiny hooves slip as he tries to stand. His wide, exhausted eyes meet mine. Those big brown eyes. Felix clambered over to me, his tiny legs weak from the long truck journey that brought him here. He rubbed his face against my cheeks. I stroked his cheeky and playful, he nuzzled his wet nose into mine. I scratched that spot, you know the one, behind the ears, where they start to lean in, their eyes half closing, pure contentment. Felix was just a baby. He climbed up on my lap and tried to curl into me like a puppy would. He suckled on everything, my hands, my jacket, my beanie, my head torch. He was desperate to find a teat because he was longing for his mother's milk. His friend grabbed my hand and tugged on it, trying to promote milk production. I couldn't give them what they needed. He needed to lay by his mother's side, in the sun, on the grass, milk drunk and content in the afternoon sun. Instead, he was here sick, confused, and scared. Another calf so weak, so sick, that as I stroked his cheeks, he was paralysed and the only part of his body he was able to move was his eyes. Felix pressed himself into me, craving comfort. He had never known warmth. And then I left without him. I left, knowing that I had left him to die. In the early hours of the morning, I laid frozen in bed, eyes wide open. Is he still there? Is he still alive? Is it now? Is he gone? Have they killed him? And then once the footage was retrieved, I watched my darling boy Felix die. His short life ended in a place where his cries went unanswered. His death, the cost of dairy. They beat him with a paddle to force him from the pen. It hurt. They shoved him onto a conveyor belt, a moving tread belt like luggage at the airport. His tiny legs were too weak. The man, impatient, threw him forward. He slipped. His face smashed into the calf in front of him, and his hind leg was twisted behind him. He wasn't able to move it back. I saw him trembling. The fear all-consuming. The stench of blood was nauseating. I know this because I smelt it. He could see ahead, the blood flooding on the floor, his friends slaughtered. The belt stopped. He watched as two metal prongs were punched into the skull of the calf before him. The belt moved, stopped. He trembled, and then the prongs penetrated his head. The same little head that had nuzzled into my cheek, that had that newborn smell mere hours earlier. He was hauled forward by his ears, those soft velvet ears. The man gripped them tight, yanking him like a piece of garbage, and then they slit his throat. His big brown eyes, the same ones that had looked at me with trust and love, would never open again. Hanging by his hind legs, blood flooding below him, a beautiful, gentle, trusting baby reduced to a bloody, gory corpse. A horror film, only it's real life. Someone turned into something because of the dairy industry. We're doing this to Felix, all of us. We're doing this to millions of nameless calves each year. And for what? A splash of milk in a coffee? Because you could never give up cheese? When you buy dairy, this is what you are paying for. Did you know that? Felix deserved to grow up to feel the sun on his face. Instead, he was used, he was stolen, he was discarded. So what will you do? You love animals. You already have the heart to reject this violence. That's why you want to look away, because you know it's wrong. But how can we grieve our pets and turn a blind eye to the millions of animals that we kill each year at the same time? We here are on the right side of history. We are the people who refuse to stay silent. We will expose them. We will tear down the walls. We will fight for change where those with power have failed us. And one day, we will win. We will end dairy slaughter. We will end all slaughter. For Felix, for his mother, for every single one of them, let us fight for their liberation.